The phone rang at 3:17 a.m. I know because I looked at the clock, heart already pounding. Nobody calls at 3:17 inches the morning with good news. I fumbled for my cell on the nightstand. My wife Carol stirred beside me. The number was unknown. Area code 602, Arizona. I answered. A woman's voice, rough, like she'd been crying for hours. Michael? Is this Michael Hayes? Who is this? My throat was dry. It's me. It's Sarah. I sat up so fast my head spun. Carol turned on the lamp, squinting at me with concern. Sarah, the voice said again, shaking now. Your sister. Michael. I just figured out who I am. I dropped the phone. Carol grabbed it before it hit the floor. Hello? Hello? Who is this? She listened for a moment, her face going pale. Then she looked at me like I'd seen a ghost. Maybe I had. Michael, Carol said carefully, holding the phone toward me. This woman says she's your sister. That's impossible. My voice came out strangled. Sarah died 36 years ago. But I took the phone back. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. Who are you really? I demanded. What kind of sick joke is this? I know how this sounds. The woman's voice cracked. I know what you must be thinking. But Michael, I need you to listen. I was in a tornado. In Wichita Falls. May 1988. Do you remember? I remembered. God, I remembered every detail. The 15th of May, 1988. The day an F5 tornado tore through our neighborhood. The day we lost Sarah. She was 19 years old, had just finished her first year at Texas Tech. Home for the summer. Working at the Dairy Queen on 10th Street. The tornado hit at 4:42 p.m. By the time it was over, 42 people were dead. Sarah was one of them. At least, that's what we'd thought for 36 years. I don't understand, I said. We buried you. I identified your body. That's just it, Michael. I don't think that was me. Carol was gripping my arm now, her fingernails digging in. What's she saying? She whispered. Where are you? I asked the woman on the phone. Phoenix. I'm at a shelter on McDowell Road, the Haven House. She paused. I had an accident. Hit my head pretty bad a few weeks ago. When I woke up in the hospital, I started remembering things. Fragments at first, then more. A house with a white fence. A big brother who taught me to ride a bike. A mother who made peach cobbler every Sunday. My mother's peach cobbler. Sarah had been obsessed with it. And then I remembered my name, she continued. Sarah Marie Hayes. Born the 14th of February, 1969, in Wichita Falls, Texas. I remembered everything, Michael. I remembered you. This isn't possible. But even as I said it, something was shifting inside me. Her voice. There was something familiar about it, buried under years of damage and pain. Michael, please. I know this is crazy. I know you probably think I'm lying, or insane, or both. But I'm not. I need you to believe me. Her voice broke completely. I need to come home. I looked at Carol. She was crying now, silent tears running down her face. We'd been married for 28 years. She'd heard all the stories about Sarah, had visited the grave with me every year on the anniversary. Tell me something, I said. Something only Sarah would know. What if I'd been wrong? The woman asked softly. That's what you said, at the funeral. You stood by the casket, and you said, what if I'd been wrong? Because the body was so damaged from the tornado, and you weren't completely sure, but everyone told you it had to be her, because of the Dairy Queen uniform, and she was the only employee who didn't show up for work the next day, and... Stop. I couldn't breathe. Stop talking. Nobody knew that. Nobody. I'd never told anyone, not even Carol. It was the thought that had haunted me for 36 years. What if I'd been wrong? I'm coming to Phoenix, I heard myself say. Don't go anywhere. I'm coming right now. Michael, Carol started. I have to, I said. I have to know. I was on a plane by 7:30 that morning. Carol came with me, of course. She'd insisted, said I shouldn't face this alone. The flight from Dallas to Phoenix took 3 hours, but it felt like 36 years. I couldn't stop thinking about that day in 1988. The tornado sirens had gone off at 4:35, p.m., 7 minutes warning. I'd been at home, just gotten back from my job at the auto shop. I was 27, married 2 years, had a baby daughter. Sarah was supposed to be at work, but I'd tried calling the Dairy Queen. Lines were down. When the tornado passed, our neighborhood looked like a war zone. The Dairy Queen was completely destroyed, just a concrete slab and twisted metal where a building used to be. It took 3 days to find all the bodies. Sarah was the last one they pulled out, pinned under a refrigeration unit. The medical examiner said she'd died instantly. The body was badly damaged, face crushed beyond recognition. But she was wearing the Dairy Queen uniform, had Sarah's build, Sarah's hair color, Sarah's ring, a silver band with a tiny turquoise stone that our grandmother had given her. I'd identified her based on that ring. What if I'd been wrong? I'd whispered at the funeral, staring at the closed casket. What if that wasn't Sarah under all those flowers? But everyone said it had to be. Who else could it be? Now, 36 years later, I was about to find out. The Haven House was a low-slung brick building in a rough part of Phoenix. Carol and I pulled up at 11:30 a.m., the Arizona sun beating down like a hammer. Inside, the air conditioning was broken, and the place smelled like bleach and desperation. A woman at the front desk looked up. "Can I help you?" "I'm here to see someone," I said. "A woman named Sarah Hayes. She called me this morning." The woman's expression softened. "Oh, Sarah. Yes, she's been waiting for you. Room 12, down the hall, on the right." My legs felt like water. Carol held my hand as we walked down that hallway. Every step felt impossible. Room 12 had a door, but no lock. I knocked anyway. "Come in," a voice said. I opened the door. The woman sitting on the narrow bed was thin, weathered, her face lined in ways that spoke of hard living. Her hair was gray-streaked, pulled back in a messy ponytail. She was wearing donated clothes, jeans too big, a faded t-shirt that said Phoenix Suns. She looked up at me, and I saw her eyes, Sarah's eyes. The exact shade of green our mother had, the exact shape. "Michael," she breathed, standing up. Her legs were unsteady, and I noticed a recent scar on her forehead. "You came?" "I don't know what to say," I admitted. "I understand." She stayed where she was, like she was afraid to come closer. "I wouldn't believe me either." Carol stepped forward. "I'm Carol, Michael's wife." "I know," the woman said. "Michael married Carol Patterson in 1986. I remember Mom calling to tell me. I was so happy for you." She looked at me. "I wanted to come to the wedding, but I was broke, had just started at tech, couldn't afford the bus ticket." That was true, all of it. "How do I know you're not just someone who researched my family?" I asked. "Someone who talked to people who knew us?" "You don't," she said simply. "Not yet. That's why I asked the nurse at the hospital to help me set up a DNA test. There's a lab 2 blocks from here. They can do it today, have results in 48 hours. You'd be willing to do that?" "Michael, I've been lost for 36 years. Her voice shook. "I don't even know how I survived. I don't know where I've been, what I've done, who I've been. All I know is that 3 weeks ago, I woke up in a hospital bed and my memories started coming back. And now I know who I am. I'm Sarah Hayes. I'm from Wichita Falls. And you're my big brother." Tears streamed down her face. "So yes, I'll take any test you want. I'll answer any question. I just want to come home." We went to the lab. They swabbed my cheek, swabbed hers. The technician said results would be ready Thursday morning. It was Tuesday. Those 2 days were the longest of my life. Carol and I got a hotel room near the shelter. I couldn't leave, couldn't fly back to Dallas, couldn't do anything but wait. We had dinner with the woman who claimed to be Sarah. She told us what she remembered. The tornado, the wind, being thrown through the air, waking up in a field, covered in mud, head bleeding. No idea who she was or how she got there. "I wandered for days," she said. "Maybe weeks. I don't really remember. Eventually, someone picked me up, took me to a hospital. But I had no ID, no memory. They listed me as Jane Doe, treated my injuries, and when I was stable enough, transferred me to a state facility." "For 36 years?" Carol asked gently. No, I got out after 6 months. Still didn't remember anything, but I could function. They gave me a new identity, Mary Johnson, and I just survived. Worked odd jobs, waitressing, mostly. Moved from city to city, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada. I ended up in Phoenix 10 years ago, working at a diner. And you never remembered? I asked. Sometimes I'd get flashes, a feeling. Like I was supposed to be somewhere else, supposed to be someone else. But it never lasted. Then 3 weeks ago, I was crossing the street, and a car ran a red light, hit me pretty hard, cracked my skull. She touched the scar on her forehead. When I woke up, it was like someone turned on a light. I remembered my mother's face, my father's voice, our house on Elm Street, the peach tree in the backyard. And I remembered you, Michael, teaching me to swim at Lake Wichita when I was 7. I remembered that too. She'd been terrified of the water. Thursday morning came. We drove to the lab in silence. The technician was a young woman with kind eyes. She pulled up the results on her computer screen. The DNA is a 50% match, she said. That's consistent with a sibling relationship. You two share the same parents. Carol burst into tears. The woman, Sarah, my God, it was really Sarah, collapsed into a chair, her whole body shaking. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. The room was spinning. There's no doubt, the technician continued. She's your biological sister. Sarah looked up at me, her face streaming with tears. Do you believe me now? I crossed the room and pulled her into my arms. She felt small, fragile, nothing like the strong, vibrant teenager I remembered. But she was alive. Alive. I believe you, I said. I believe you. We cried together for what felt like hours. But even as relief flooded through me, a darker thought crept in. If Sarah was alive, if she'd been alive this whole time, then who the hell did we bury in 1988? I called the Wichita Falls Police Department that afternoon, explained the situation to a detective named Martinez. He sounded skeptical at first, who could blame him? But when I sent him the DNA results, he took it seriously. We'll need to exhume the body, he said. Run DNA, dental records, if possible. See if we can figure out who she really was. She? I repeated. The body you identified was female, right? Early 20s, brown hair, approximately 5'6". That's what the 1988 records say. Yes. Then if it's not your sister, it's someone else's daughter, someone else's sister, someone who's been missing for 36 years, and whose family deserves to know what happened. He was right, of course. My miracle was someone else's tragedy. While I'd been mourning Sarah, another family had been searching for their missing girl. And all this time, she'd been in Sarah's grave. The exhumation took 3 weeks to arrange. In the meantime, Sarah came home to Texas with us. My daughter Rachel, now 37 years old, met her aunt for the first time. My son David, 34, did the same. They were gentle with her, welcoming, but I could see the questions in their eyes. Who was this stranger who looked nothing like the pictures of young Sarah they'd grown up with? Carol was wonderful. She set up the guest room, bought clothes that actually fit, helped Sarah navigate a world that had changed completely while she was gone. Smartphones, internet, social media. It was overwhelming for someone whose last clear memory was 1988. Sarah cried a lot those first weeks, sometimes from happiness, sometimes from grief for everything she'd lost. 36 years. Her 20s, 30s, 40s. Her mother had died in 2003, her father in 2010. She'd never got to say goodbye. I'm sorry I wasn't there, she said to me one night. We were sitting on the back porch, watching fireflies, for Mom and Dad, for your kids growing up, for all of it. It's not your fault, I said. None of this is your fault. Then whose fault is it? She asked, and I had no answer. The call from Detective Martinez came on a Tuesday morning in late August. We've identified her, he said. The woman in the grave. Her name was Jessica Ramirez, 21 years old in 1988. Worked at a motel on the highway outside Wichita Falls. She'd been reported missing by her mother on the 16th of May, 1988, the day after the tornado. Why was she at the Dairy Queen? I asked. We don't know for sure, but the theory is she took shelter there when the tornado hit. Wrong place, wrong time. Her mother identified her from the dental records. She's been looking for Jessica for 36 years. I felt sick. Does she know? I called her this morning. She's processing. It's a lot to take in. I'd like to meet her, I heard myself say. If she's willing. I need to apologize. Apologize for what? You didn't do anything wrong. I buried her daughter under the wrong name. I took away her chance to say goodbye properly. Mr. Hayes, you were a victim of circumstance. You identified a body based on the information available. In 1988, we didn't have DNA testing like we do now. You did the best you could, but it didn't feel like enough. Maria Ramirez agreed to meet me a week later. She was 78 years old, a small woman with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much grief. We met at a coffee shop in Wichita Falls, neutral ground. Thank you for coming, I said. She nodded. Her hands shook as she held her coffee cup. I'm sorry, I told her. I'm so sorry. If I'd known. How could you have known? She interrupted. Her accent was thick, her English careful. You thought it was your sister. You were trying to bring her home, same as I was trying to find my Jessica. Still. 36 years, you didn't have answers. Because of me? No. Her voice was firm. Because of that tornado? That tornado took my daughter. Took your sister's life, even if she didn't die. That tornado is what hurt us, not you. She reached across the table and took my hand. Her skin was soft, papery. Now I can bring Jessica home, she said. Really home. With her name on the stone. With her family to visit her. That's what you gave me. That's the gift. We cried together. Two strangers bound by tragedy and strange grace. Sarah was with me at Jessica's funeral. Real funeral, this time. Maria had insisted we come, said Sarah needed to say goodbye too. The service was in Spanish and English. Jessica's family, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, gathered around the casket. This time, they knew who was inside. This time, they could grieve properly. Afterward, Sarah stood by the grave for a long time. She took my place, she said quietly. If she hadn't been at the Dairy Queen, if she'd been anywhere else, maybe I would have been the one they found. Maybe I would have died, and she would have lived. Or maybe you both would have died, I said. Or maybe you both would have lived. You can't think like that. I know. She wiped her eyes. I just wish I could remember her. If we were both there, in the Dairy Queen, we must have seen each other. Maybe we even talked, and I can't remember. The doctors said Sarah's memory might never fully return. The head injuries from the tornado, combined with decades of trauma and the recent accident, had done permanent damage. Some things she remembered vividly: childhood, family, her first year at Tech. Others were gone completely. She didn't remember how she survived the tornado. Didn't remember those first days, weeks, months afterward. It was like someone had cut those memories out with scissors. But she was home. That's what mattered. 6 months after Sarah came back, Carol and I were sitting in our living room when the doorbell rang. Sarah answered it. A moment later, she came back, face pale. Michael, there's a woman here. She says her name is Christine Booker. She says she worked at the Dairy Queen with me in 1988. Christine Booker was 63 years old, a retired nurse from Oklahoma City. She'd driven 5 hours when she saw the news story about Sarah being found alive. I had to come, she said. I had to see if it was really you. Sarah stared at her. I'm sorry, I don't remember you. That's okay. I remember you. Christine smiled, but there were tears in her eyes. You were so excited about going back to college in the fall. You were going to major in elementary education. You wanted to teach 3rd grade. Sarah's hand went to her mouth. I did? You talked about it constantly. And you were dating that boy from Tech. What was his name? Danny Morrison, Sarah breathed. The memory was coming back. I could see it in her face. Oh my God. Danny. We were going to get married. Christine nodded. You showed me the ring. He'd given it to you right before summer break. It was silver, with a little turquoise stone, Sarah finished. from his grandmother. You were wearing it the day of the tornado, Christine said softly. I remember because we were working the afternoon shift together. You kept twisting it on your finger, nervous about something. You'd had a fight with Danny the night before, some silly thing, and you were worried he was mad at you. What happened? I asked. During the tornado? Christine took a breath. The sirens went off at 4:35. Our manager, Gary, told everyone to get to the walk-in freezer. It was the safest place. But Sarah ran to the bathroom first, said she'd left her purse in there, had her keys and phone. I went after her. And? Sarah was leaning forward, desperate for any piece of her lost past. The tornado hit before we could get back. I grabbed onto a support beam in the kitchen. The last thing I saw was you being pulled toward the door. Then everything went black. When I woke up, I was in a hospital. They told me 2 employees had died, Jessica Ramirez and Sarah Hayes. I never questioned it. Why would I? The ring, I said suddenly. Jessica must have found the ring after the tornado. Maybe Sarah lost it when she was thrown, and Jessica picked it up, thought it was hers. Or maybe she was just holding it when the refrigeration unit fell. Christine finished quietly. That's what killed Jessica. The medical examiner said it was instantaneous. We sat in silence, the weight of 36 years settling over us. I'm alive because you went after me, Sarah said finally. If you hadn't followed me to the bathroom, you would have been in the freezer. Safe. Maybe, Christine said. Or maybe I would have been crushed with Jessica. We can't know. What matters is we're both here now. Sarah started therapy after that. Twice a week, working through the trauma, the grief, the impossible task of reclaiming a life that had been stolen. It wasn't easy. Some days were harder than others. But slowly, she found her footing. She got a part-time job at a local library, started volunteering at an adult literacy program, made friends, went to church, learned to use a computer. She was 64 years old, learning things most people figured out in their 20s. And she never stopped searching for Danny Morrison. It took 8 months, but we finally found him. Living in Austin, married for 30 years, 3 kids, 5 grandchildren. When I called him, he couldn't speak for a full minute. Sarah's alive, he finally said. How is that possible? I told him the whole story. At the end, he was crying. I mourned her for years, he said. Years. I kept that gravesite maintained until I moved to Austin. I never forgot her. She wants to see you, I said. If you're willing. She understands if it's too complicated, with your family and everything, but tell me when and where, he said immediately. I'll be there. They met at a park in Dallas on a Saturday afternoon. Carol and I stayed in the car, giving them privacy. We watched as Danny got out of his truck, as Sarah walked toward him. They stood there for a long moment, 2 people who'd loved each other 36 years ago, trying to reconcile memory with reality. Then Danny opened his arms, and Sarah walked into them. They talked for 2 hours. When Sarah came back to the car, her eyes were red, but her smile was real. He's happy, she said. He has a good life, a wife he loves, children who adore him. He showed me pictures. How do you feel about that? Carol asked gently. Sarah was quiet for a moment. I'm glad. I'm glad he didn't spend his whole life grieving. I'm glad he moved on and found happiness. She paused. And I'm glad I got to see him one more time, to say goodbye properly, to tell him I never forgot him either. It's been 2 years now since that phone call at 3:17 a.m. 2 years since Sarah came home. She lives in a small apartment near us, works full-time at the library now. She's learned to navigate smartphones and social media, though she says the world moves too fast these days. She's right about that. Last month, she started dating a man she met at church. A widower named Frank, 70 years old, kind and patient. He knows her whole story and loves her anyway. Maria Ramirez calls every few months. She and Sarah have formed an unlikely friendship, bound by that tornado and everything it took from them. Maria says Jessica's grave looks beautiful now, with her real name on the stone. Sarah visits it sometimes, leaves flowers for the woman who took her place. The Wichita Falls police never found out exactly what happened in those moments during the tornado, how the ring ended up on Jessica's hand. Whether Sarah gave it to her for safekeeping, or whether Jessica found it in the rubble, or whether it was just one of those strange accidents of fate. Some questions don't have answers. But I know this. I have my sister back. After 36 years of believing she was dead, of visiting a grave that held someone else's daughter, of living with the question, what if I'd been wrong? I have my sister back. Carol says it's a miracle. Sarah says it's just luck. I think maybe it's both. All I know is that the phone rang at 3:17 a.m., and my life changed forever. Again. Sometimes I still wake up in the middle of the night and have to check that it's real. That Sarah's really here, really alive. That this isn't some cruel dream. Then I call her not at 3:17 a.m., I'm not that cruel, and she answers, voice sleepy but warm. Michael, you okay? And I say, yeah, just wanted to hear your voice. She understands. She always understands. That's the thing about being given back someone you thought you'd lost forever. You never quite stop being grateful, never quite stop being amazed that they're real, that they're here, that somehow, against all odds, you got a second chance. The phone rang at 3:17 a.m., and my dead sister came back to life, and I will never, for the rest of my days, stop being thankful for that call.